all things New Orleans Saints. This is Who Dat Discussion.
Who dat? Who dat? Who dat? Who dat? Who dat? Say they gon' be damn same.
Powered by Overtime Media.
What is up, Who Dat Nation? I'm coming at you with another film study here at the Who Dat Discussion. As always, I'm your host, Andrew Galata. You can follow me on Twitter at Andrew Galata, and then also definitely follow our podcast at the Who Dat Dis as well. This is going to be our third film study since we restarted this here this off season, and we're going to do this one, as you guys can see, on Andrus Peat. Now, the first two probably we weren't questioning the ability of Emmanuel Sanders and Malcolm Jenkins. It was kind of just showing, like, this is how they're going to affect the team. This is probably how they're going to help the team, and then we're just going to go out and do it. But for this one, this is an interesting signing that the Saints had. We all know about Andrus Peat and how his troubles, like PFF grade's been under 50 this year and the year before. He's obviously had some troubles in some games with defending. A lot of people put a lot of blame on him, especially on that offensive line. But the Saints pick him over Larry Walford to keep, which I think is extremely interesting. So I went to the tape, and I was just like, well, what does Andrus Peat do that's very good? What are his kind of places where he's lacking? And where are some places that he's kind of average and he's suitable as? Because, look, there's kind of all three of those for Peat. To me, this is how I'm going to break it out, really, for him. There's like 50% of the time where he's average, he's good enough to kind of hold his own. He's doing, obviously, when you have so many great pieces around him, you're not really going to notice him. Then there's 20% of the time, or maybe 25% of the time outside, that he is great. He's a player that's getting out in space, doing some great things, doing plays that other offensive linemen cannot. And then finally, you have the 25% bad plays, where he is getting beat, and he's kind of hurting the Saints in a few ways. And that was kind of how it was last season. Now for the last two seasons, he was hurt, and he got hurt down the stretch, but again, he's going to have to show his health. And I think that's something really big, and again, I want to put that as a disclaimer. It's not really going to be like, oh, well, he's hurt, so this is why he played bad. But it is definitely something we should at least take into account a little bit. I do think Peat, look, getting his money, you're just hoping he doesn't just like, oh, I got my money, I'm fine. I don't think he is. Like, the Chiefs wanted him really badly, and again, the Saints just outbid him, and he wanted to stay with the Saints because he was with the Saints. But again, to me, that is really interesting, and to me, that's something that you have to think about, and you have to be kind of a positive thing. But here we are going to just get right into this. We're going to show a lot of plays here because offensive line, we're not going to be like breaking down plays. We're just going to be looking at Andrus Peat's play. So you're just going to see some good plays. We'll start with some good plays, kind of start on a positive note. Then we'll delve into the bad plays, and then we'll finish off on a high note. And that should be really great. So I think we should just get right into this first play. Let's start off here with a game between the Saints and the Bears. We're really looking at this second angle because usually we show you two angles. For this film study, we're really only going to show you one, really going to focus in, I should say, on one kind of video. We may show the other angle just to see how plays line up and from a different angle, but really this angle is the one we're going to be looking at for this film study. So for me, a big thing is everyone's going to have to know that this is going to be Andrus Peat. He's going to be playing at around this position at every play. So this is the player we're going to be looking in at. We're not going to be looking at Armstead. We're not going to be looking at Walford or Ramczyk or McCoy at center. We're really only going to focus in here on Peat, and what we're really looking for is going to be kind of his foot technique, his hand placement, hand technique, and then how he's able to create leverage. Sometimes he's able to do it, sometimes he's not, but that's kind of the things that we will be looking for. So we're going to let you guys watch the play, and then we'll bring it back and kind of rewind it to break it down. So here is kind of what happens. It's a nice play for the Saints. Bridgewater to Michael Thomas, and let's just kind of break it down right here, and that's kind of the first position, and then right there is kind of where I want to stop it, to show you that he's already starting to get leverage here, and this is kind of what the Saints want to do. The Saints are trying to create a space and kind of a seam through here, because they know that this linebacker is going to be against Murray, and it's a play action, so he's got him here, and then what's going to happen is, what the Saints want to do is create a space here for Bridgewater to throw it nice and clean, so he can throw right through to Thomas without anyone tipping it or anything. So Peat's job here is to kind of slide this way, so he's able to do that, and he does a really good job at that. And you can just show how he's able to create leverage. So how is he able to do that? So we're going to kind of clear what we were showing. Let me just play it back. Let me just clear this, and I just fast forwarded a little bit so we can get a little better of a view here. So really what I'm looking at here, so what he did from that angle, from that stoppage point to this one, he kind of moved him over. So he started like here, and they moved him over to here. And what happens is Peat does this to create the angle, because obviously you see a big hole between here. So Bridgewater is able to throw through. And how does Peat create this? And he's going to do it by really the hand placement and also the feet technique here, the foot technique. So first, his hand placement is inside the numbers here, which is huge. And that's, you don't want it on the outside. That's something that's really big with offensive linemen. To create leverage here and kind of be able to win this rep, he does that by having this hand placement in the center. That's how you create the most leverage. Not on the outside, but on the inside. So that's really good hand technique by Peat. And then also his feet, he's not on the heels of his feet. He's right on the balls or the center of his feet, and or kind of on the perfect part of where he needs to be. He's doing a good job now. He's not 100% win, but it's a really good job. He creates the perfect thing he's supposed to do, did his job to perfection. To me, that's a really nice job by Peat. Textbook play, and it's a textbook result for the Saints, as it was a little 15-yard pass to Michael Thomas, and we know the Saints do that so well. So that, to me, is just really good, and he can do that. 75% of the time, he's able to do that and do his job very well. But also, we got to get into the 25%. Before we do get into kind of the bad plays, we do want to show you guys one more play as we fast forward it here, as we'll let this play go out. And our second play, also from the Bears game, and it's another really good game. He had a good game here, and we'll just show you this angle real quick, but it's going to be here in the red zone. You know, the Saints are obviously going to look for a touchdown here. It's a running play to Murray, and what Peat is going to do, he's going to just, I mean, you'll watch it, but he's going to just do a really nice job in a short field, kind of pull out, and then make a block, an integral block to get Murray in the end zone. So I'll let you guys watch it twice, really, and then we will break it down for you guys. Yeah, so that was a really nice job for him to get out in space in such a small area. That's definitely something to look at here. So let's keep it going. And you see he got in. So let's just play it back a little bit here to this angle. So what Peat's going to do, and I think a big thing is from Peat, him being able to get out in space. And we're seeing it a lot, and we'll see it again here from Peat. But him being able to do this and then just pull out right over here, and he makes, he doesn't get the full block, but he just gets enough for Murray to get into the end zone. Yeah, it's not a perfect block, it's not a perfect play, but if you can have someone do this in the short field like that, in the 3-yard line inside the 5, he's able to get through all those, navigate through all the bodies, and make and get his right assignment and makes a play. That's really good, and that's really good recognition from Peat. I do want to say that. And maybe that's something why the Saints didn't keep Wofford, because Wofford can't do that. So I could see why the Saints would want to keep Peat over Wofford because of plays like this. So if we you could see what he's able to do here. Look at Peat leading the way, puts a block on this player right here, and then it's not the perfect block, but he gets just enough of him for Murray to get into the end zone. And yeah, it's not the perfect block, but to me, it's a good enough play. Oops, before we get into the next play, I do want to look at this one a little more. And it's not the perfect play, but he's leading the way in the short field, getting through the correct bodies, and he's able to do a good job as Murray gets into the end zone. To me, really good job by Peat being able to get out in space, and especially in such a short area. Like, to have the speed, I mean, because it's such a condensed area, to have the speed to go from your left guard position, kind of swing out and make that block, that just shows he's a physical specimen at that position. And that's a play that not every left guard can do. That's above average left guard play, and to me, that's a weapon that the Saints would have if they played with Peat, and if they keep Peat, which they did. So that's something that Wofford can't do, some other guards can't do, and that's something that you have to keep in consideration. To me, that's something that's really big. It's a play that, look, not everyone can make. To have the speed to get out, to make that block in time, is to me very, very impressive. And again, it wasn't the perfect block, but he got the job done, and he did a really good job there. But we all know that Peat also kind of has a bad side, and we do want to look at that. That's, to me, very, very important that we do look at that. So we're going to look at a few plays that weren't so good, and we're not going to turn this into a Peat rag session or anything, but it'll just be a few plays. Just like we show 2 good plays, we'll show a few bad plays, and then we'll finish off on a high note, on a few more positive notes from Peat. But we have to look at the negative stuff first. So here, we're going to see it. So now this is a play Saints Rams. So now we're kind of fast forwarding back. We're rewinding a little into the season. But this is the play that Drew Brees got hurt. And Pete's going to go up against Aaron Donald. We're going to just fast forward this a little more just so we can get to that right spot. Because I'd rather see this angle, especially to start. But again, this is to me, look, the Saints are going to be kind of, it's early in the game, so they're still in the game, obviously. But the Saints, this season, I mean, look, ended up not being hurt because of Brees getting hurt, but it could have been really bad. And this is because Pete, against high top competition, he doesn't do the best here. So you're going to kind of have to see it. And we're going to see why it was a bad play, why Brees got hurt, and what Pete can do to improve it. So let's just look at it here and kind of see what Pete is doing. First of all, that's a great play by Aaron Donald. Like, we all know that. Like, that to me, it just shows what Donald's able to do. He just wins basically right around Pete. He goes right by him. So let's just, if we play it back right here, it just goes right by him. And Pete falls down. So Pete's, I mean, like, this is the play that everyone was seeing. It was Pete. Let me just play it here. It was Pete on the ground with Donald coming straight for Drew Brees, and the injury happens. So yeah, it looks bad, for sure. And when we go back, you definitely see it. But let's just break it down and see what's kind of happening here. So what really does Pete do that bad? Because it happens quickly. So great move by Donald. But look at Pete. You can kind of see it from here. We'll rewind it again. Look at his hands. His hands didn't get up quick enough. His hands couldn't get on the interior of Donald. It got on the outside. Look where he even tries to block him. You could still see his numbers, and I put a big dot there, and you could still see Donald's numbers. He gets no leverage on this play, and it is a nice play by Donald. I definitely want to preface it by saying that. But when looking at it, you could just see right there, that swim move is perfect. So Pete probably tries to go for the inside, but Donald is too quick and gets by him. So his quickness has to be better, especially when you're playing that top talent. So yeah, when he was playing other guys that weren't as good, you can see Pete still do very well. But when he hits to that elite level, that playoff level talent, you do see a drop off. And this is why. Hands aren't quick enough, and also his footwork is very bad too. Just look, he's not on the balls of his feet, and that's why he falls. He's on the back edge of his feet. He just wasn't quick enough that play. And if you're not going to be quick enough, I mean, that's definitely something of issue. Because when looking at it here, I mean, he just wasn't quick enough. He couldn't establish the hand placement quick enough. His feet were all over the place, an awful placement and technique, and he falls down. The three biggest things. It's not even like he got to Donald to hold him. He let Donald run free to Brees. And this is a great play by Donald, and I do want to preface it by that. But again, he's going to have to do a better job this year, especially against that high talent. That's where Pete takes the next level. It's not against the okay talent or the bad talent. It's against the elite talent. And that's when we're really going to see where Pete kind of, if he got better this season or if he didn't. But this is a play that got Brees hurt and could end a season. So it's definitely very important, and we should definitely look at it. But that's really what happened. The quickness of the hand placement wasn't there. The footwork wasn't there as he was on the heels of his feet. And also, he fell down. Those three things are the biggest no-nos for offensive linemen. And look, give it to Donald, but that's a big no-no if you're Andrus Peat. So let's now look at another play. This is going to be against the Falcons, as I'll probably talk through the first angle, and then we'll just pause it for the second angle, and I won't talk through that. Because this angle, it's kind of tough to see. But you do see Pete get demolished and fall down. Brees makes a great play and almost completes his Traquan Smith and can't. But Pete almost falls down. I think that's the biggest thing here. So when looking here, let's just I'll just pause it for a second. It's going to be Pete right here, as we all know. And let's just see what happens in the play. So it's just not a strong play, and he gets bull rushed like that. Like that really can't happen. And again, it's very, very tough. But when we see it, look, and now you can see this better. Look where the Falcons defender right here, look where his hand placement is. Right on the inside. You could see his arm here, Pete's arm is here. So Pete gets his placement on these shoulder pads of this defender, and he doesn't get enough on the inside, so he can't create that leverage. His other hand isn't even on him. So first of all, his his hand placement's on the shoulder, his one hand's on the shoulder pad, his other hand's not even on the defender. The footwork is all over the place as you have. It's not level, it's not like straight. His feet are not straight right now because it does not line up really. You can see that his foot's back here and he's unbalanced. His hands aren't in the right place and that's just a perfect way to fall down. And he just falls right down. Like, he is over 300 pounds and 6'7", and he's fallen down on a straight bull rush. It's a problem. And you have to fix that. And that's because, again, he's unbalanced and creates no leverage. And when you have a guy that can, on the defense, that can create quick leverage on a quick step, Pete's as good as done. So if I'm Pete, you got to get better with the quickness with that first step. It's within 1 second you're going to know if he's going to have a good play or if he's going to fall down. And again, it's a free rusher at Drew Brees, which is never good. Brees ends up getting out of this play and almost completing, and he should have completed it to Traquan Smith, but doesn't. But it's kind of the same type of result here as the last play. It's Pete on the ground. And that's something that you do not want 100%. I mean, it's just really bad. And again, it's tough to look at all these plays, but again, we do have to take a look at it because there are pros and cons to Pete. You can see some great plays by Pete where he gets out in spades and the Saints end up getting touchdowns because of it. And then you see why he isn't that top guard, in my opinion. Plays like these, like great, 100% the best guards in the league don't fall down off of a defender like that. It wasn't even a move. It wasn't even like a Donald move where it was just a really nice swim move. He just bowled right into him. And over 300 pounds and 6'7", I do not expect that to happen. He's got to be able to have better footwork, better hand placement, so that doesn't happen again this season. And these are small fixes, and I have no doubt that he could be able to fix it. He's just got to, and he definitely does it, as we saw in the first play. He definitely does it, but just not 100% consistency. It's just not 100% there yet. Maybe this year it will be, but it's definitely something to look at for sure. But when you see this play end up, great play by Drew Brees, for sure, as he's able to finish out the play. Traquan Smith drops it, but that's just kind of what it is there. So now we are going to move to the Vikings playoff game. So now every game every play, I should say, is from this game here on out. We're going to show some good plays, some bad plays. We'll start with the bad ones, get to the good ones. I want to preface that by saying this. Pete wasn't the reason the Saints lost this game. You could say whatever you want, but Larry Walford played a lot worse. Teron Armstead played a lot worse. That's just my opinion. Pete gets beat on a few plays. We'll see it here. But you know what sometimes he doesn't also do? He wins. A lot of times, especially when the Saints were coming back and playing really well, you saw Pete playing really well. So I guess that's a testament to Pete's impact for the team. But again, that's something that we should definitely look at. He has some bad plays. He has some outstanding plays. So we're going to look at both sides of that because I do think that is extremely important to look at here. So now let's just get into this first play and we could really just break it down. I'll probably be talking through the play when it happens and then kind of let you guys see the other angle because I do think that's a better angle, and then we'll kind of just take it from there. So really, it's a quick spin move and a really nice move, but Pete's got to be able to get better at it. He's got to at least be able to not have it to be just undefended, because Pete, like, this is after the spin move, Pete has not reacted to Griffin. Griffin's already going to hit straight shot. Pete is already in his first step only. He's only taken one step. Griffin has taken 3 steps probably, and he's on his way to the quarterback. And that's something that's really not good. And you could see Pete here was put in the spin cycle, and that's something that, again, you kind of saw the video here. Not good. Pete went from here to then like all the way over here, and then Griffin's like in the play. Like, you can see when Pete finally defends the spin cycle and it's all over, Griffin's at the quarterback, Pete's over here. Obviously too much separation. And why does it happen? Is because Pete just doesn't have any good hand placement, really bad leverage, a lot of just bad stuff happening here. And that's something that, again, it's going to hurt him. And it's going to hurt the Saints. So if you play it back, we could just see hand placement. You could just even see it here. He's barely going to get any of them, just on the outside. What's going to happen is Griffin gets the inside of him on the first move and then spins off of it on the second move and then goes right by him. He's too quick. The hand placement's not there. The footwork's really bad. It's just, I mean, look, his feet are just unbalanced, not too far apart. It's an issue. It's an issue for him because it happens too much. And again, what's going to help him defend against these certain moves is going to be certain hand placements and hand jabs. And then also the footwork, if that's better, if he's able to shuffle over a little better, that's going to help. But again, he's going to make plays like these. The Saints are going to get... First of all, Saints fans are going to be really mad, and the Saints are going to lose games. Now, if he makes plays like he did in that Bears game, the Saints are going to win games. He makes touchdown plays like for the Saints. Like that was obviously, if the Saints don't have Pete in that play, they don't get that touchdown. Here, Pete, the Saints obviously don't get a rush throw because of, if Pete defends properly. And you got to give credit to Griffin because that's a really nice spin move. But again, you got to be able, for a first round pick, for a guy that's making $60 million plus, he has to be able to defend these moves. Like a spin move isn't something like this high-tech play, like it's been around for years. You got to be able to defend it. And he's such an athletic, physical specimen, he should be able to. And again, I think with time and hopefully his health gets better this year so he can keep on growing. Like the last 2 years, his health hasn't been that good, so he hasn't been able to really grow as a player. This year, hopefully he's fully healthy and he really gets that chance. So if we keep on looking at it, obviously no good. And that's just kind of that play. Now here for the next play, this is going to be no great move. It's not Everson Griffin. It's not Aaron Donald. It's going to be Linval Joseph. And again, this is something that, again, it's just tough. Because he's going to come in here. Like, Pete gets beat off of that. We see some issues here. And we'll obviously see it from this angle. I think this is a better angle to see it. The second angle behind Breeze. But you're going to really see it here. So Breeze kind of looking, changes the play at the line. And then it's going to happen here. Pete does fine there, but then he loses. And he gets stiff-armed in the face. And to me, why I picked this play, it's a perfect kind of illustration of if you're not able to get the inside placement. Footwork's not awful, but obviously his feet going this way is no bueno. The feet should be going back. But I don't even want to talk about that much. The footwork's not good here. But also, this was a perfect illustration. His hands are on the inside here. Pete's hands are on the outside. And that's really how he's able to push back. Yes, he positions Pete really nicely by getting him to move kind of here. And that's not good, obviously. But this is, right now, you have Joseph's in a position of dominance, and then Pete is in a position just not good and unbalanced and really bad. So to me, that's something that you obviously have to look at. And he gets stiff-armed into the ground, which just shows you had Joseph's hand placement was right on the inside and perfect, while Pete was on the outside with no leverage. And again, he falls down again. But that's something that, again, that's what happens here. And that's really the play. I just wanted to show you guys that just to show that hand placement. And then finally here, as this play kind of goes out, let's get back into the good plays. Because Pete, besides those two plays, obviously there were a few here and there, but for the most part, he did a good job. Now, he wasn't as good as Ramczyk, because Ramczyk also gave up a sack, but I would say, he wasn't good as McCoy, but he was right there as the third best lineman for the Saints that game. Maybe even tied for second with Ramczyk, because Ramczyk also gave up a sack that game. Look, Walford only really, I don't think he really, not Walford, excuse me. Pete only gave up one sack, or maybe no sacks, but a lot of hurries. Ramczyk gave up a sack. Walford gave up a ton of hurries, and the fumble to Breeze, and so did Armstead. It wasn't obviously good. But I want to look at Pete, because Pete didn't play bad this game. To me, it was an average game for him, and especially against that level of talent, you could even say above average game. Yes, he got beat a few times. Yes, he gave up a few hurries, but on the most part, against this level of talent, he didn't do a bad job, because if everyone around him played better, the Saints would have won this game. And you could put a little of it on Pete, but you got to put a lot of it on Walford, a lot of it on Armstead. If Armstead plays to his best ability, if Walford plays to his best ability, we're not sitting here talking about Pete. Pete was just the punching bag of the situation here, but he didn't play bad. And we're going to show it on this play. And then also the Saints have missed opportunities, because you're going to see on this play here, you're going to see this is going to be the play that Traquan Smith had that drop. And perfect throw by Breeze, perfect job by the line, not a good job by Traquan Smith. So we're going to see it. And Smith drops it. Now that happened. And now the plays just didn't go the right way for the Saints. I really do believe that in this game. Nothing went their way. And you're going to see this by Peat. Against the great talent here. He's able to do a good job here. Obviously, it's only a DT, and it's not a Everson Griffin player, but still, the Vikings have a great D-line, and that's still great talent. And he's able to do a good job here. Look at that. Great job, and then Breeze gets it off. So we'll play it back here and see what he does. This is great. I love this shot. It's Peat on the inside here. You can see Peat, and then on the outside, it's the D tackle. Peat gets on the inside. Footwork, perfect. Leverage, perfect. Perfect throwing lane. He creates this. He starts here, he ends here, just like the first play. It's a perfect play. Traquan drops it. That's not on Peat. Peat does his job to perfection here. Great play. This is the 25% great for Peat. 100% textbook amazing play. And we have to look at those plays. Now, it didn't end in a big play, but it should have. Traquan Smith catches that ball. Saints are in really good position. Saints are already up in this game. You could say a lot of different things. You could say a lot of stuff about this game. The one thing I do want to say is that you can't blame it all on number 75. Because I thought he played a pretty good game here. But again, that to me just shows that's textbook right there. And he does all the right things. Traquan Smith ends up dropping it. That's not Peat's fault. So here, this is the last play of the film study. Saints Vikings, as we all know. And this is going to be the Taysom Hill big run before the fumble. So let's just check it out here. So we have Hill's going to option out Kamara. And you're going to see Peat be Hill's main blocker. And Peat was Hill's main blocker a lot. And again, he's able to take a player, a linebacker, out of the play. And I do love this play, as we'll see it from the other angle. I think this is a better job because, yes, Hill does do a great job by bowling over a player, but if Peat isn't out there to block one of the players, Hill gets tackled because it's a double team tackle. But you see him do a little push block and then push Eric Kendricks, who's a great linebacker, into the next century. And yes, Hill does bowl over somebody, but if Hendricks is there to make the tackle, you don't see that. But this is great technique. Peat, in movement, is on the inside. He comes out from the inner level. He's able to, let's just get the right marker here. He comes in here, gets a little push block, but then takes it down into the second level. Perfect blocking here. And then, yes, he can't block two people at once, but he can free up a space for at least to get like 10 yards. And then because Hill is a great player and a great downhill runner, he allows to give Hill a one-on-one situation, and then bam. But look, Peat's still in the play. He keeps Hendricks out of the play, so Hill is able to get up and keep running. It's a great play. So here, playing it back, you're going to just see. First off, let's just look, and boom. So he's able to get that push. So that's going to help everybody. It just gives a little extra push. That's a good play. But he knows his guy's Kendricks. So then he keeps going. Right there, it's a really nice path. He goes from here to here really quickly, just kind of the same speed as Hendricks. And he's going to open up the perfect path for Taysom to run through. So now look at that. So now you're going to see Taysom go right through. And it's going to be a one-on-one with him and him. But because Peat takes him out of the play, it's not an issue. So when we keep going, so that's a good... So Peat already created a path for Taysom to at least get 10 to 12 yards. Taysom's going to make it better because he's Taysom Hill, but without Peat, and if you had Walford on the other side or someone else, he wouldn't have made the play. So, yeah, Peat helps that play a lot. And then he keeps on blocking Hendricks so he's not able to see it, and then Hill's gone. It's a wonderful play, and it just shows the really great side to Andrus Peat and what he can become fully. It's not always there. But let's not put this playoff game, let's not put every game on Andrus Peat, because it's just not. So, I do think it is time to wrap up the film study. We saw the good, we saw the bad, we saw the great of really Andrus Peat. He could bring the Saints touchdowns, he could be a game changer for the Saints, he could give the Saints sacks. He's a really all-around, you get 50% of average to above average play, you get 25% great play, you get 25% bad play. So if he changed that to like, let's say 60-30 or 60-35 and 5, you probably see a lot better, and he's one of the best guards in the league. He got paid like one of the best guards in the league. So right now, you want to call him an above average to above average guard. You want to call him 10 to 15 range. That's fine. But if he wants to become elite, he has to really get that first step better. The hand placement's got to be more consistent. The balance has to be more consistent, because when all that stuff's there, he's really good, because just the physical attributes of him. He's able to get out in space. Not every guard can do that. We all know that. But again, it's something to definitely look at for the Saints. Definitely, I want to hear what you guys think about Andrus Peat. Do you guys think he's good? Do you guys think he's a liability? Do you think he's really bad? Do you think that he's good for the Saints? Do you think the Saints should have given the contract? Do you not think the Saints should have given the contract? He is the less steady pick than Larry Walford. He has bigger ups. He's got bigger downs. Consistency wasn't really his thing last year. Let's see if health helps that. Let's see if other things help that, so he can become that top-notch guard that his physical attributes really can bring him to. Would I have liked to move on from him? Maybe. Maybe I wasn't. I was definitely in that camp. But after watching his film, you could see the really high ups, and you could definitely see after watching the film why the Saints took him, because you could still see he has that potential. And he shows it a lot of the time. Just when he doesn't show it, it could be really bad. He could be on his backside. And that's obviously not what you want to see from a lineman. So I think it is time to wrap up this film study. Just one quick thing. Definitely check out our first 2 film studies. One was on Emmanuel Sanders. One was on Malcolm Jenkins. Definitely check those out as well. And I had a really great time doing this film study and all the other ones. So I really hope you guys enjoy it, because I really enjoy making them. But I think with all that said, I want to say thank you for watching, run it back, and who dat?